Hey guys, and welcome back to another lesson. Today we're going to talk about dominant chords with tensions and interesting ways of voicing them. And to do this, I'm going to demonstrate things in context. So I'm going to play a short piece for you, and then we're going to go back and analyze it. So here goes. Okay, so let's go back and look at these different dominant chords that we played, and there were quite a few here. But before doing so, I'd like to show you a simple but effective way of voicing just a simple dominant seventh chord without any tensions. So this is called the tritone voicing, and let's take let's say a C dominant seventh chord. So a C dominant 7 is made out of a C, an E, a G, and a B flat. And they're basically the first, third, fifth, and flat and seventh degrees of the C major scale. And the tritone voicing consists of just taking the third, which is an E, and the flat and 7, which is a B flat, and omitting the first and the fifth. So it's basically playing this. This is also known as a tritone, which are two notes which are 6 semitones apart. You know, go start with an E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 semitones. Let's have another example. Let's take D. So a D dominant seventh chord is this guy. You have a D, F sharp, A, and C, and you only retain the third and seventh, so that would be an F sharp and a C. So here's the tritone voicing for D. Let's have one other example before moving on. Let's take let's take an an A dominant 7. So here's your A dominant 7, A, C sharp, E, G. First, third, fifth, flat and 7. And you just keep the third, the C sharp, and the flat and 7, which is your G, and you have a tritone voicing for the A dominant 7th chord. So pretty simple. Now let's go back to the piece and work through the chords. So the first chord is a C major 7, so it's not a dominant chord, so we're not going to dwell on it. The next chord is this guy, and I think of this as an E dominant 7th chord. And what I'm doing here is the following. Take a look. Here's an E dominant 7 in the left hand, and I'm going to play just the tritone voicing for it. Here it is. Now in the right hand, I'm playing a C major chord. And when I put these two together, basically what I have is an E dominant 7 with a sharp 9 and a flat and 13th, which can also be thought of as a sharp 5. Now, again, let's take a closer look at this. Here's my E dominant 7, and I created by playing the E major scale. And I'm playing the first, third, fifth, flat and 7, and I can also add higher degrees. I can add the 8, 9, 11, 10, 11, 12, 13. So people can add these higher degrees, and these higher degrees can also be modified with tensions. So for example, you can take the 11th and sharpen it, Or you can take the ninth here and sharpen it. Or you can take the ninth and flatten it. Or you can take this 13th here and flatten it. So you have all of these different variations. Now, if I take this 9 here and sharpen it, take this 13th here and flatten it, I omit the 11, and I move this E up here. And let's actually move it one more octave up here. And I'm going to omit the 5th. Then here's the voicing I played. Here's my tritone voicing in the left hand, and a C major in the right hand. And what I'm really playing, again, I'm going to emphasize, this is an E dominant 7, but with tensions. You have a sharp 9 and a flattened 13 here. So an interesting way to voice this particular dominant chord. Let's move on. This was an A minor 11. And then I had a D dominant 7th chord. And again, if you'll pay attention, then in the left hand, I'm playing the tritone voicing for the D dominant 7. Here's the D dominant 7. I'm just keeping the 3rd and flattened 7. In the right hand, I'm playing another major triad, this time an A flat major. Now this brings out other tensions, other interesting degrees and colors. Let's see what they are. Here's my D major scale. So I'm going to play the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7, flattened 7, right? 9, 11, 13th. Now if I take this, let's do the following. Let's take this 9 here and flatten it. And let's take this 11th here and sharpen it. And I'm going to omit the 13th. And I'm going to omit the 1st and 3rd because I have this tritone voicing. I'm going to double this C up here. And here's the voicing I played. But what actually does this voicing do? What sort of colors does it bring out? Well, if we play the entire thing, remember we have a flattened 9 here and a sharp 11. So this is a D dominant 7, flat 9, sharp 11. And I'm playing it by playing a tritone voicing for D in the left hand and an A flat major in the right hand. Moving on, the next chord is a C major. And this thing is an F dominant 7. Sorry, well, I guess I would call this an F 13th, F dominant 7th, well, F dominant 13th with a sharp 11. Basically this thing. What I'm doing is I'm omitting the 1st and 3rd, so again I have a tritone voicing in the left hand and a G major in the right hand. And this is an F 13th with a sharp 11 degree. This is an E minor 11. Here I have an A dominant 7. I have the tritone voicing in the left hand. Here's the A dominant 7. Here's the 3rd and flattened 7. So here's my tritone voicing. And in the right hand, I'm playing a G flat major. And again, what sort of colors does this bring out? Well, let's play the entire thing. And you'll see that, well, here's a flat 9. This is just the 3rd. This is the 13th, and this is, I guess, this is again the flattened 9. So this is an A 13th flat 9 chord. And I'm playing this again by playing a tritone voicing in the left hand and a major triad in the right hand. Next chord is a D minor. And the final dominant chord in this piece is a G13 flat 9th. And this is actually the exact same trick or variation as I used for the A major just 2 chords ago. Because here I'm going to convince you. Here's my A flat. I'm going to go up 1 semitone. Sorry, I get it the other way. Here's my A flat, sorry, not my A flat, my A dominant 7, go down 1 semitone and another one. And you see I have my tritone voicing for G, and in the right hand I'm playing an E major chord. What I played was actually just an inversion of this. This is the same tritone voicing for the G dominant 7, just inverted, and here's my E major in the right hand. And that's it. Now, I've sort of shown you different ways to voice dominant chords, and they were all comprised of a tritone voicing in the left hand and some sort of major triad in the right hand. And to conclude this video, I'd just like to go with you through all of the different possible combinations that kind of make sense, in the sense that they bring out meaningful tensions and they don't create any sort of unnecessary dissonance. And there are actually just 5 different variations, and I'm going to demonstrate them using the C dominant 7th chord. Here's my C dominant 7th chord, and in the right hand I'm going to play different major triads, and we're going to try and figure out what sort of tensions they correspond to. I'd just like to remind you that for the C dominant 7th chord, here's my 9th degree, which is a D, 11th degree is an F, and 13th degree is an A. And I can, again, sharpen stuff. Let's say I can take this F and sharpen it. Or I can take this D here and flatten it, or maybe sharpen it. Or I can take this 13th and flatten it, and so on. So, here's my C dominant 7, and option number 1, which is not interesting, just play a C major chord in the right hand. Disregard this one, of course. You're not adding any new information. The next interesting chord, let's say, let's call this variation number 1, will be a D major. And what you're playing here is a C 13th chord. Here's the 13th, here's the 9th, and here's your sharp 11. So the color you're adding here is a sharp 11. Let's take the next interesting combination, which is an E flat. And if you'll notice, this G and B flat are just the 5th and 7th degrees, right? You're playing them already in your left hand. And you have this extra bit of color here, which is a sharp 9. So this is a C dominant 7th sharp 9 chord. The next meaningful or interesting chord in the right hand would be a G flat major chord. And you could play, again, any inversion of this that you'd like. I'm going to play this in the second inversion. So you see, this is a G flat major or an F sharp major, have it your way, whichever one you feel more comfortable with. And let's look at the colors. Here's my B flat, so this is the flattened 7th, I'm already playing it in the left hand. Here is a flattened 9, and here is a sharp 11. So what you have here is a C dominant 7, flat 9, sharp 11. So this is the third variation. Remember, the first one was D major, then E flat major, then G flat major. The fourth one is A flat. And again, what do we have here? Well, we have a flattened 13th, a sharp 9, and we don't have any 11th degree. And the final one is the A, which has the 13th degree, the 3rd degree, which we're already playing in the left hand, and this guy over here, which is a flattened 9. Remember, the 9 is a D, you flatten it, you get a D flat. And And again, you can use any inversion of the A major chord in your right hand. And that's it. You have, remember, in the left hand, you're better off playing a tritone voicing, and you can play a D major, an E flat major, a G flat major, an A flat major, or an A. And each one brings out different colors, as you've seen in the piece I've played. Remember again, the important part here is the relationship between the chord in the left hand and the chord in the right hand. So let's take this variation, right? Let's say you wanted to play a C dominant 7 flat 9 sharp 11. So you would play this tritone voicing in the left hand and this G flat major in the right hand. But now let's say you want to play an F dominant 7 with a flat 9 and sharp 11. What would you do? Well, you would go to your F, and the relationship here is that you're playing a C in the left hand and a G flat major in the right hand. These are two chords that are tritone apart, so you would do the same for an F. You'd play, here's the F major, here's the tritone voicing for the F major. Which chord is a tritone apart from F? Well, that would be a B, right? Here's the tritone distance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you play a tritone voicing in the left hand and a B major in the right hand. Now, of course, probably your next question is, when should I use different tensions? And that's a topic for a different video, but I highly recommend that you sort of practice these 5 different variations for voicing dominant 7th chords with all of these different interesting tensions. So when you're playing from, let's say, a real book, or you see a chord that looks like a C13th flat 9th, you immediately know, well, one way I can play this is tritone voicing in the left hand and A major in the right hand. And here you have your C13th flat 9 voicing. I hope this lesson gave you some ideas on voicing dominant chords, and if you took some stuff, got some interesting exercises to practice. Of course, always practice in all 12 keys, and I'll see you next time.